Hello, my name is Michael Harris, and I'm the National Sales Manager for Technics. I'd like to thank you for making the time or taking the time to attend our digital trade show on magnetic workholding. During today's presentation, we'd like to interest you in trying magnetic workholding, and we'll do this through several case studies that we've assembled, which are real-life installations that we've installed throughout the years. And at any point in time, just a couple of logistics. If you have questions, we would encourage those questions. There's a green box at the top of your screen. Feel free to ask any questions that you'd like, and I have someone in here monitoring those, and then we'll do our best to answer those questions at the end of the presentation. And if you miss any part of the digital trade show, we would encourage you just to go to the website by clicking on the digital trade show at our homepage, www.techniksusa.com. And you can see the presentation live there. Case study number one. It was a machine manufacturer, and this one was close and personal to me because I actually did the installation start to finish. The customer came to us. He was in a real dilemma. He wanted to increase production and keep up with the demand of their machine sales. His options were, just as yours probably are, add equipment, add personnel, or change the work holding. After several months of going back and forth and working on this, we actually installed six in fact, EEPM magnets with one single controller. The installation looks like this. The advantage of this to them was reduction of setup and changeover time, which we'll talk more about in the next slide. As you can see, there's 6 separate chucks. These are controlled either simultaneously or collectively. If they had a very large part, they could lay it across all 6 chucks. The benefits to this machine manufacturer were many. We had a return on investment in less than 90 days. We had no need to add equipment or personnel to keep up with the demand. In fact, we increased their production by over 40%. Their profit was increased on these parts by 20%. And as a soft value add, we extended the tool life and part rigidity substantially. The agenda for today's meeting is to talk about different applications for magnetic workholding, different case studies that we've personally worked on problem jobs that customers have sent us, the benefits of magnetic workholding, the benefits of Technics workholding team. We will conclude, and then as I mentioned earlier, we will have a Q&A session. Daily production questions that are in shops each and every day. How do I do more with less or more, at worst case, with the same? We must be in lockstep with these very real issues to bring value to all of our customers. We get asked these questions every day. How do we reduce costs? How do we keep this machine running? We want more uptime. We've got to get more parts out the door to hit the demand. And how do we just simply make more parts per shift at a better profit level? So that's what this presentation will be about. Bottlenecks with traditional workholding. These are all things that you're very well aware of. With traditional clamping or vices, when you're moving clamps or vices around, what I like to say is the cash register is not ringing. You're slowing down production, making your guys less efficient, and there's, as you're well aware, many different ways to hold a part, but it doesn't mean it's the correct way. By that, I mean you have a limited work area due to obstructions from a part. You might be machining around a part on the peripheral. You get to the vise, and then you have to turn the part around and actually do the rest of the part. It's very difficult locating parts. You have long and multiple setups. Several operations can be standard just to complete that part. The magnetic workholding benefits, typically it's 50 to 60% less setup time. What implementation have you ever used that brought that great of a value to your organization? So that's the value that we can bring. I've seen it as high as 80%. So that's what we're going to focus to today, bringing you more efficiency. It provides 5-sided machining. It's consistent holding power throughout the entire part. It's very easy to locate, which we'll talk more about. And certainly, as a result of all this, will reduce your operations. Common applications for EEPMs. Anything that is a 1/2 inch or thicker, we can certainly do. The minimum size is 2 by 2. Heavy milling and drilling operations are certainly parts that we work on every day. Flat stock as well as round stock. And in summary, I would just like to say, any part that you'd like for us to try, we're up for the challenge. Challenging part number 2. Our Technics customer wanted to accomplish more output, reduce their costs, increase profitability per part, and increase production without more machines and personnel. This is the installation that we did. We actually had 2 EEPMs side by side, as you can see. These were controlled with one controller. Where they once did one part, we're now doing 4 parts. And the other huge advantage here is we were getting 4 finished parts per operation. Huge advantage to this organization. We had more parts per shift, in fact 40% more. We increased their profit by 15%. We gave a return on investment in 4 months, and we also reduced operations by 50%. Customer challenge part number 3. This was a job shop application. The challenge that the customer brought to us was customer wanted to increase production, substantially reduce operations, so more finished parts per operation, increase profit per part in the job shop, and just simply more throughput. This was the installation, and again, we had a dramatic impact on this customer. Before they were doing 14 parts per operation, now they're doing 24. Again, finished parts every single time, and this was one magnet controlled by one controller. The benefits to this customer was now 24 parts versus 14. That's 42% more parts as throughput. Huge advantage. Eliminated an entire operation, saving 15 minutes per part. We increased their profit by over 25%. And on this size of chuck, we had a return on investment in 5 months. The customer was thrilled. Job shop application number 4. The problem was they had several small parts with high production, but just simply the customer was telling me, we got to get rid of these parts. We're going to have to give up on this because we're just not making the profit that we want. It was costing them over 10 minutes per part. This was an application where we were able to utilize a subplate. We have 4 parts per subplate, as you can see here. Again, finished part every operation. In addition to this, they had, after we implemented this solution, they had 3 other parts that they did very often, and we created subplates for those 3 other parts. So we had 4 parts where, again, if you're doing, let's label this one part A, you're running it today, and part B is tomorrow, then we would put part B's subplate on for tomorrow's work. It was as easy as just changing the subplate over to either part A, B, C, or D. Very simple for them and very efficient. The benefits here, we had over 35% more parts per shift. Huge. 4 parts per operation with finished parts every cycle. Again, we talked about the subplates. Probably the most exciting thing about this implementation for me was we actually enabled this customer to add staff. They added an additional machine, and they went after parts that they never ever imagined bringing into their shop before implementing magnetic work holding. So it had a huge impact upon their business and provided additional opportunities and profit and revenue to their organization. We have many different options on technology relative to work holding. We have standard sizes on the shelf from 16 by 9 through 31 by 29. These are available in 220 volt or 480 volt single phase. We offer VTL magnets for large lathes. We have MagVice technology, which is a non-electrical solution, which you can see down in the far right-hand corner. We also do mini specials. So at this point in time, we would be willing to take a look at any part that you may have and come up with the best solution for you. Why Technics for magnetic work holding? This has as much to do with the technology or the solution as the product itself. We offer the knowledge base of literally hundreds of installations. We have 10 years of selling this technology, and trust me, we're way better today than we were 10 years ago, and we continue to get better. Sales process is everything. We give a consultative approach. You're dealing with experts that have done this, been there, done this, and know how to implement these solutions for customers. We offer CAD drawings, animated video, which I'll share with you in a few moments. We also have turnkey capabilities, which I'll show you in a couple minutes. Implementation is important, on-site support, literally summarizing this slide by no surprises. You know start to finish exactly what you're implementing and exactly how it's going to work for you. If any salesperson walks in and tries to sell you one of these off of the internet or out of a catalog, I would keep moving on and come to Technics because it's just not a product that you can buy. You can certainly look at in a catalog. You can determine what sizes you need, what part number you might need, but as far as the solution goes, you're going to need to deal with experts because it is an engineered sale. This is a turnkey solution, and the biggest advantage about this is we will actually bring your part to our facility at our corporate facility here in Indianapolis. We will create a turnkey solution, which is totally done off-site. We would need some conference calls or personal meetings with you just to determine exactly what the part looks like, so we would need CAD drawings to have a productive meeting. We would bring the part here, have you ship a scrap to us. We would videotape the part in production in our facility, and then from there, send the video to you, have a conference call to make sure that there's benefit in implementing this to you, and then create an implementation plan. Again, all done off-site, so not slowing down your production. This next slide, this is an actual customer that I worked on where I'm providing animation to them. So this is very helpful to an end user because you can determine exactly how the part is going to be done, and instead of just looking at a drawing, we can actually animate this for you. So I'll not speak during this animation, but I want to give you a talk track here exactly what's going to happen. We will indicate the part in on the chuck and remove the stops. We will machine the peripheral of the part. We then flip the part over. We do the other peripheral. And then at this point in time, we would have a finished part. Before implementing this system at the customer site, they had 4 operations due to clamps to do this very part. Would this solution actually work for my part? So from there, we would schedule a meeting with the interested plant, do a teleconference or personal meeting. We find that if we have CAD drawings up front, the meeting is actually much more productive. So we can actually discuss how do you do this today, how much time does this take you, what is your setup and changeover time, have a clear understanding of how you do the part, and then from there, determine if it's a good fit. Again, as we talked about earlier, you can send scrap parts to us for a turnkey solution. We could also do an on-site demonstration. If you would like for us to bring a chuck out to you, we can do that in the field. We have the ROI tool justification. If you need to have a presentation done to your upper management, we can certainly create an ROI tool for this. And then we do a well-written implementation plan. In conclusion, we can reduce your setup time by 50 to 60%. I'm used to selling tool holders and inserts. In that world, if we can impact a customer by 10%, that's a huge or dramatic impact. In magnetic work holding, we're talking 50 to 60%, and again, I've seen it as high as 80%. It absolutely justifies itself very easily if you have the right type of parts for us to try for you. You get access to 5-sided machining, which is a great benefit. It's very easy to locate the parts. Some customers right now are probably sitting there going, well, what about my aluminum parts when those come in? That comes up quite often, especially in job shops. What we recommend there is just putting those non-ferrous parts on a vise on top of the magnet, milling the part, removing the vise, and then moving forward with your magnetic work holding parts. We reduce machining operations, we give you much more rigid holding power, and certainly the ability to hold odd-shaped parts. Questions I would be asking if I were sitting in the audience today. Are our parts well suited? Do I believe that this can work for my parts? Let me see if they can do some of my challenging parts. I know I have well-suited parts, I just don't see how this will work, and prove it to me. I guess what I would say to these questions is give us a shot. We'd love to prove to you that we can absolutely take care of your parts. In closing, my challenge to you would be, at worst case scenario, we're going to evaluate your parts that you send to us, either via CAD drawings or teleconference call that we may have. We will help you determine what the best solution would be for work holding. So that's worst case scenario. If it's a well-suited part for magnetic work holding, then we would offer up to you, let's take the next step together. Again, knowing that it's going to justify itself typically within 5 to 8 months. It's a no-risk solution for you, and again, potential increase to you and your organization of 50%. I like those odds. Give us a try. We're ready for the challenge. No risk testing. This doesn't cost anything to you. And please contact us at info@technicsusa.com. Now we'll jump to Q&A. Looks like we have a few questions here that I'll try to get to. The first question came from John. Do I recut chips? That's a great question. I get that one often in the field. The answer is simply no. Because of the chip size, the chips can be removed or evacuated either by air or by coolant. So no problem there. The chips actually, when you cut them, they fall off of the magnet and adhere or stick to the magnetic base itself. So when you have the induction blocks on top of the magnet, you will have the chips that gather on the face of the magnet and not recutting them. Second question, what maintenance is required? Literally none. There's nothing that can go wrong with the magnet. The only challenge that we have ever, and this would just be more, again, covered at time of implementation, would be if you have, at the connection point, if you have coolant in there or a chip, those two things don't like one another very well. So we train the customer, the operator specifically, exactly how to connect and disconnect the magnet, and that eliminates any required maintenance whatsoever. Looks like a third question from Greg. Can I drill into the chuck for through-hole drilling? Great question. The answer to that is you can absolutely do through-hole drilling. That's a huge benefit to magnetic work holding. We recommend putting induction blocks on the face of the magnet, and this allows you to actually do through-hole drilling. You do not want to drill into the face of the magnet, but again, once you put the induction blocks on top of the magnet, you can do through-hole drilling on any area of the part, no problem. Let's see, how do I mount this to my table? Daniel sent that one in. You can do it several different ways. You can actually do through holes. The magnet comes with through holes on it, so you can actually directly mount it to the table. It comes with bolts standard from us, and there's T-slots on the side, so you can directly mount it that way. Or you can create your own holes that you could directly bolt through the table up into the magnet. So there's several different options on mounting it to the table, and again, certainly we can recommend that once we take a look at it, and that would be a part of the implementation strategy. That's all the questions that it looks like is coming through. So again, I want to thank you for attending. I would challenge you to give us a call, or we'll be following up with you. We would love to have a shot at taking a look at your parts and seeing if they're well suited for magnetic work holding, and bringing you some additional profit and efficiencies that I'm sure that you would like to enjoy. Again, thanks so much for attending today.